Hey, everybody, and welcome to another Motivation Monday podcast. This week, we're going to talk about recording your practice. And let me clarify a little bit. I don't mean audio recording, I mean writing down, recording with ink and paper, and recording your thoughts about music and just generally keeping a record of what's going on with your musical life. I've been doing this for the past couple of years, and it's a really, really wonderful thing. What I do is I go out and I buy those little composition notebooks. They're like 50 cents. I go out and I buy a stack of those every year. And I make sure that I keep really, really good records of everything that I'm working on every single day. Now, this does a couple of things for me. It makes my practice time more efficient because I can literally open up my notebook and see exactly where I left off from my last practice session. I can check out tempos of things that I was working on. I can check out exactly the concepts or keys of things that I was working on. It's just a place for me to record everything that I'm doing day to day. And sometimes what'll happen is, let's say I go away for the weekend or something comes up on the weekend where I can't practice all that much. Well, sometimes on Monday, what I noticed in the past is when I get back, I don't remember almost anything that I was doing. I mean, I remember the broad strokes of the things that I was doing, but as far as being specific and, realizing those important points of things that I was working on, I'd forget about it. And this actually all spawned from I started keeping a record of what all my students were doing, and that really revolutionized my teaching because you can imagine if I've got 30 or 40 students, by the time I see my first student on Monday again, I've completely forgotten about what they're working on, never mind what I'm working on. So this really revolutionized my teaching. I could go back and check out all my records of all my students, and they also weren't able to pull anything on me anymore because I had written down right at the end of their lesson exactly what I had assigned them and exactly what I expected from them on the following week. So I decided, why not start doing that for my own practice time? And when I started doing it, it really revolutionized everything because it gave me a greater level of specificity where I could specificity, what's that word? Specificity? I don't know. Anyways, it was more specific to what I was doing, and it allowed me to not waste any time or have any of that redundant practice where I was working on the same things that I had already worked on last time I practiced. Now, there's another thing that you can do with a practice journal that I feel like is equally amazing. Also use this journal just as a general catch-all for everything that has to do with music. So if you've been thinking about a particular concept but you haven't had a chance to practice it yet, write it down in your journal because you can always come back to that when you feel like you're ready. Let's say that you had a really important thought about the next step in your development as a musician. You're not quite ready to start working on it yet, but you don't want to forget that thought that you had, right? Put it in there. And then what the journal becomes is it really becomes something that you can take out in 6 months or a year, and you can look back on all the different things you wrote down. Now, obviously by then some of the really specific day-to-day stuff is not going to be as important, but if you've written down these really big broad thoughts about music, thoughts about playing the instrument, anything like that, that becomes a really, really great thing to have recorded somewhere. And you might discover a thought that you had had 2 years ago that could really come to fruition now. And if you hadn't written it down, you would have never thought about it again. So I'll have in my practice journal records that I want to check out. If I'm watching a YouTube video and somebody has a really great idea, I'll jot that down in my practice journal. It really just is all things music. So if you were to look at my journal, on some pages, you would just see practice records and tempos and, certain things like that. And then on other pages, I might fill the entire page with a thought I had about a certain subject or something like that. And it's really great. I've pulled out my old practice journals and just gone through them. And it's really encouraging to see how far you've come from some of the stuff that you've been practicing. And it's also really cool to go back over those thoughts you had about music or recordings or life or whatever. This goes along with what a lot of really, really successful people do is they journal every day. They keep a diary of sorts. That's not just for kids. That's a really, really important thing for all of us to do because it helps us kind of realize some of our goals or realize some of the thoughts that we have and put them down on paper. It's just an important exercise in general. So this week, go out, buy some composition notebooks or regular notebooks or whatever, and start really keeping track of everything that you do every day. And just notice the effects that it has on your practicing. It'll make you more efficient. It'll be a place to get all your thoughts out. Even if you're frustrated, you can write down, today I'm frustrated because, and that stuff is really important even just to get off your chest. It feels like you're getting a weight off of your shoulders. So let me know if you already do this and some of the benefits that you might be seeing from it. And if you're not doing it, go out and try it for a couple of months. It really makes a big difference. All right. So that's my advice for this week. We will see you on Friday with a regular episode. Have a great week, everybody. Get out there, practice, listen to music, do everything you can to become a better musician this week. Talk to you soon. Bye.